Hi, welcome to the video. Today we are going to discuss word usage for bank exams, which are for exams which are IBPS as well as SBI exams. So this is a very important section where you are given a word and you have to identify how the word is being used in the various sentences and whether the word has been used in the right way or the wrong way. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not already subscribed. This is our link, Time for Bank SSCCGL. So if you have not already subscribed to this channel, please do subscribe to this channel. Let's move on to the questions. Let's look at the directions for the question, and please understand it's very important to read the directions no matter how familiar you are with the question. In each of the following questions, a word is given followed by 3 statements in which the said word has been used. Read the sentences carefully and decide in which of the given sentences the word has been correctly used, making the sentence grammatically correct and meaningful. So you have 3 things here. The word has been correctly used, the sentence should be grammatically correct, and the sentence should be meaningful, right? So now we understand what do you mean by correctly used. Correctly used is the sentence is grammatically correct as well as the sentence is meaningful at the same time. So let's look at the words. The first word is bolt. The 3 statements. The athlete must bolt from the starting line the moment the gun is fired, leaving others behind. So the word bolt is present here. In its form, there is no change in the word, it's used in the same way. The second statement, during the storm, residents were advised to bolt their windows and doors securely. So you have another word bolt, right? It's the same word used in the sentence in the same form, no change in form. The third statement, the carpenter used a bolt to hold the wooden panels together. So you have another statement, the word bolt. So all 3 statements are using the same word, no variation of the word, same word bolt in different ways, and we have to see whether each of these statements, whether any of the statement is right or wrong and why it is right and why it's wrong. So let's look at the first statement. The athlete must bolt from the starting line the moment the gun is fired, leaving others behind. So here the word bolt is being used as a verb and it's being used in the right way, because the word bolt, one of its meanings is to run suddenly. So when you have a starting line, when there's a running race happening, so as soon as the gun is fired, the athlete must bolt. He must bolt, he must move suddenly, he must move forward suddenly. So running suddenly, bolt, used in the right way. So sentence 1 is correct. So it's both grammatically correct as well as meaningful at the same time. Second statement, during the storm, residents were advised to bolt their windows and doors securely. So here the word bolt is again being used as a verb. So the meaning of the word bolt in this context is to fasten something, to hold together something, to fasten something, right? So especially doors and windows. So in this context it makes sense, because during a storm your doors and windows may just fly around. If they are not locked properly, they are not bolted properly, then there might be issues with that. So during the storm, residents are advised to bolt their windows and doors securely. Yes, the word bolt in its verb form here, it means to fasten securely. So here the word bolt is used in the right way. Let's look at the third statement. The carpenter used a bolt to hold the wooden panels together, right? So here the bolt is being used as a noun. Noun form of bolt is like a metal fastener. We have, if you recall, we have something called nuts and bolts, right? So you have bolt where we use, we screw the nut, right? We nut and bolt together, right? So screws and bolts, right? So here we have the carpenter used a bolt to hold the wooden panels together, right? So the bolt here is something which is holding 2 things together, like a metal fastener. So here the word bolt is used in a right way. So the first sentence is the word bolt, which is used as a verb. In the second sentence, it is also used as a verb. In the third sentence, it is used as a noun. And these 2 forms verb forms. Although both of them are verbs, however, there are different meanings of the word bolt which are given there. So we have the word bolt used in 3 different ways. All 3 times it is being used in a grammatically correct way and also makes sense, meaningful. Hence, the option which says all 3 statements are right is option 4. So for question number 1, the answer is option 4. Now let's move on to the next one, number 2. The word is trip. T-R-I-P, trip. She planned a weekend trip to the mountains to relax and unwind. She planned a weekend trip to the mountains to relax and unwind. So the word trip is used here. Let's look at the second statement. The sudden trip in the power line made all the street lights shine brighter. Trip in the power line. So the word trip is used just as it is. His careless trip of words made the audience laugh during the serious speech. Right. So trip of words made the audience laugh during the serious speech. So the word trip is used here, no other variation of the word trip. So let's look at the first statement. She planned a weekend trip to the mountains to relax and unwind. So the word trip here is being used in its noun form as a journey, usually referring to a short journey. So trip is used as a journey or an excursion. She planned a weekend trip to the mountains to relax and unwind. The word trip is used in a grammatically correct way as well as it makes sense, meaning, right? So when you're talking about trip as a journey, you journey to the mountains to relax and unwind. So yes, the first sentence is grammatically correct and meaningful with respect to the word trip. Second sentence. The sudden trip in the power line made all the street lights shine brighter. Now, when the power line trips, the circuit breaker gets activated. So when the circuit breaker gets activated, the entire power goes out. So when the power goes out, you should actually expect a blackout. However, the statement says the trip in the power line made all the street lights shine brighter. Now, is this a grammatically wrong sentence? No. The grammar is correct. It's grammatically right. But does it make sense? No. Because when there is a trip in the power line, the street lights cannot shine brighter. In fact, the street lights would all go off at the same time and there would be a blackout. So this statement, while being grammatically correct, is definitely not right. It's not meaningful. Right? Let's look at the third one. His careless trip of words made the audience laugh during the serious speech. Now this is a wrong usage of the word trip. So you can trip over something. Trip over means fall over something. So you can say maybe trip over words. You trip over words means you're saying the wrong words, you're slurring up your speech or saying the wrong words there, and the audience has laughed because of the way you use the wrong words at the wrong time, right? So careless trip over words is the right way to use it, or you can say slip of tongue. The more common expression that you see is slip of tongue. So this is also a wrong way of using the word trip. So here clearly the word trip is used as a noun to mean journey or perhaps to mean excursion. Okay. So this is the way in which you use the word trip. The second, trip in the power line made all the streets shine brighter. That part is wrong, because when you trip, the circuit breaker which is there gets activated and which will actually result in a blackout. It cannot make sure that the street lights are all shining brighter. And the careless trip of words, so instead of trip of words, the better way you can say is slip of tongue. So the only statement which is right is 1, and the option which says that is option 1. So for question number 2, the answer is 1. Okay. Let's move on to the third question. The directions are the same as that given in the first question, but let's look at the directions once again. In each of the following questions, a word is given followed by 3 statements in which the said word has been used. read the sentences carefully and decide in which of the given sentences the word has been correctly used, making the sentence grammatically correct and meaningful, right? So we have the same exact instructions. Now look at the word drama. D-R-A-M-A. Drama. So let's look at the sentences now. The British drama exposes the junior doctor's pressures, burnout and moral conflicts with dark humor and raw emotion. So you have the word drama here, British drama. The second statement, the rapper has stormed out of a dramatic interview after just 2 minutes of questioning, with the broadcaster branding him a big baby over his behavior. So you have the word drama being used as dramatic. The third statement, the aviation industry is failing dramatically in its efforts to tackle its role in the climate crisis. So you have the word drama used as dramatically. Right, so you have the word drama used in 3 different ways, in different forms, in different variations of the word. So let's look at the first statement. The British drama exposes the junior doctor's pressures, burnout and moral conflicts with dark humor and raw emotion. Right, so here the word drama is being used as a noun. So as a noun, what is the meaning of the word drama? It is a play. It's a play or a skit, which is generally put up for a certain audience, a certain fixed audience, right? So it's a play, and that's why. And if you look at the statement, yes, the British drama. It is a British drama made by the Brits, and it does something. It exposes the junior doctor's pressures, etc., and all that. So sentence is grammatically correct and meaningful also. The word drama is used in a grammatically correct way and is also meaningful. Now let's look at the second statement. The rapper has stormed out of a dramatic interview after just 2 minutes of questioning, with the broadcaster branding him a big baby over his behavior. Right. So here the word dramatic is being used as a adjective. It is being used as an adjective to define the interview. It's used being as an adjective to qualify the interview. So dramatic interview means something which is very intense, sensational interview. So the rapper stormed out of the interview because the rapper felt maybe he or she was being questioned unfairly, right? So they stormed out of the interview, and that interview was very dramatic in nature. It was very stormy, it was very sensational, it was very intense in nature. So here also the word drama in its form dramatic, which is the adjective form, is being used in the right way. So sentence number 2 is also correct. Let's look at sentence number 3. The aviation industry is failing dramatically in its efforts to tackle its role in the climate crisis. Right. So aviation industry talks about the airline industry, which is there. Right. So aviation industry is failing dramatically. Here the word dramatically is being used in this form as a adverb. Right. So drama is used as an adverb, dramatically in its effort. So here dramatically is talking about failing dramatically, right? Failing dramatically means failing severely. It's basically talking about the extent, the severity of the failing which is happening. So failing dramatically in its efforts to tackle its role in the climate crisis. So here also the statement is correct. It's grammatically correct as well as meaningful. So the second dramatic is talking about the word intense. It's talking about the intensity of the interview. So it is talking about intensity and sensational nature. Right, sensational. And the third word where we are using dramatically as an adverb, we are talking about the extent or the seriousness. So the extent of the failing which is happening. So if you see in all the 3 statements, the word drama in its variations is used in the right way. So the only option which is right is option number 5. So for third question, the answer is 5. Option number 5. Okay. So let's move on to the next one, which is the fourth statement. The word is Broad. B-R-O-A-D. Broad. Britain's anti-immigrant party has made broad gains in local elections. So this word broad used directly in the same way. Broad gains in local elections. European stocks closed broad lower on Tuesday, with investors largely staying cautious. So you have the word broad once again. The legality of a presidential pardon as broad as that granted to Hunter Biden is unusual. So you have broad used in a phrase, as broad as. Right? So let's look at each statement separately now. The first statement, Britain's anti-immigrant party has made broad gains in local elections. So broad gains is a common phrase. It means, it talks about the range of the gains, the wide range of the gains. So broad gains is, yes, it means it has made a lot of gains, right? So any party which makes broad gains in elections, which means it has significantly improved over its previous performance in election. So this might be referring to one of the parties in Britain itself, maybe referring to the Reform Party or the UK Independence Party. Both of these parties are anti-immigrant parties in the US. Now let's look at the second statement. European stocks closed broad lower on Tuesday, with investors largely staying cautious. Now look at this word broad. Broad is actually an adjective, but it is trying to define or qualify the word lower, and the word lower, okay, is, stocks closed broad lower, right? So sorry, it's not qualifying lower, it is qualifying the word closed. So broad lower. So it's, how did they close? They closed broad lower. So the word closed here is a verb, right? So when you are talking about a word which has to define or which has to, qualify a certain verb, then it has to be an adverb. But here we are using broad, which is an adjective. So to make sense, for this sentence to make meaningful sense, this word should be broadly. So broadly would be the adverbial form of the word broad. So if the statement read, European stocks closed broadly lower on Tuesday, with investors largely staying cautious, then it would mean, right, because the word closed is a verb. So we are using the word broadly to talk about how could qualify the word closed here. So if you use broadly, it would be right. So this statement in its current form, using the word broad, is wrong. Now let's look at the third statement. The legality of a presidential pardon as broad as that granted to Hunter Biden is unusual. So this statement is talking about in 2000 and in last year, actually, before President Biden left his office, he pardoned his son Hunter Biden. So President Biden was the president of United States of America before Donald Trump's second term. So legality of a presidential pardon as broad as that granted to Hunter Biden is unusual. So the phrase as broad as, it defines the scope of the pardon, the range of the pardon which was given, and the scope of the pardon. So it is used in the right way. So this statement is also correct. So out of these three statements, 1 and 3 are the statements in which the word broad is used in the right way, and statement 2, it is used in the wrong way. So the only option which talks about 1 and 3 is option 3. So the answer to question number 4 is option 3. Okay. Good. Now let's move on to the next question. Now let's move on to question number 5. Sorry, I don't know why it is showing 3. Let's move on to question number 5. Let's look at the instructions once again. In each of the following questions, a word is given followed by 3 statements in which the said word has been used. Read the sentences carefully and decide in which of the given sentences the word has been correctly used, making the sentence grammatically correct and meaningful. So again, we are talking about correctly used, grammatically correct, and meaningful at the same time, right? So look at the word. endanger, E-N-D-A-N-G-E-R. This is useful to know the spelling of the word also and how it's pronounced. It's endanger. Let's look at the three ways in which this word is used. Amid a drastic decline in endangerous primates, researchers have called for conservation measures. Right. So the word is being used here in a different form, endangerous. Second statement, the Bank of England has cut interest rates as tariffs endanger global economic growth. So here the word endanger is used in its original form itself, the second sentence. The third sentence, the country has passed a law to ban the use of endangered chemicals in agriculture. So here again the word is used in the same form, no changes. So let's look at the first statement. Amid a drastic decline in endangered primates, researchers have called for conservation measures. So here the word endanger is used in a wrong sense, because when you're talking about conservation measures, we are referring to not endangered primates but to endangered primates. When you're talking about endangered animals, it means animals, in this case primates, which are at a risk of extinction, right? Which are at a risk of extinction, which might get extinct anytime soon. So here the word endangerous is used, the endanger is used in a wrong way. It should be endangered. So the commonly used way in which endangered is used is endangered species, species which are at the risk of extinction. So here the word is used in a wrong way. The second one, the Bank of England has cut interest rates as tariffs endanger global economic growth. Yes, the word endanger here is used in its right form, which means threaten, right? To threaten. So it is used in the right form, grammatically correct as well as meaningful. So this statement is right. The country has passed a law to ban the use of endangered chemicals in agriculture. Now, when you're talking about chemicals here, right? When you're talking about chemicals, chemicals are a noun. So this should be an adjective. An endanger is not an adjective. The adjective form here would be endangering. You need to add a ing at the end, right? So here this statement is also wrong, because when you're talking about chemicals, when you're trying to define the chemicals, you have to call them as endangering chemicals and not endangered chemicals. So out of three, only statement 2 is both grammatically correct and meaningful. So the answer would be 1. So for question number 5, the answer is 1. Okay. Let's move on to the next question. Suspense. So the word we have got is suspense, suspense, right? Let's look at the ways in which the word has been used. Chennai Super Kings has ended the suspense over MS Dhoni's retirement from T20 by signing up the player for the next season. So it has ended the suspense, used in the same way. There was a suspenseful silence before the announcement was made. There was a suspenseful silence. So suspense is used in a different way. Sharapova looked at the judge suspensefully, hoping for a favorable verdict. So she looked at the judge suspensefully. So Maria Sharapova was a very great female tennis player at one point in time. So these are the three ways in which the word suspense is used. Now let's look at the first sentence. Chennai Super Kings has ended the suspense over MS Dhoni's retirement from T20 by signing up the player for the next season. So here the word suspense is used as a noun in its noun format, which means uncertainty or doubt. So it's used in the right way, grammatically correct as well as meaningful. So 1 is right. So sentence 1 is grammatically correct as well as meaningful at the same time. Next, number 2, statement number 2. There was a suspenseful silence before the announcement was made. So you have the word silence, which is a noun. So suspenseful is an adjective. So you have an adjective which is describing or qualifying a noun. So this word is used in a grammatically correct way, as well as it makes sense. So there was a suspenseful silence. There was a silence before the announcement was made. There was a weird silence. People were in mysterious kind of a silence. Before the announcement was made. So this is also a right way to use the word. Sharapova looked at the judge suspensefully, hoping for a favorable verdict. So it is talking about how she looked at the judge. So looked is a verb and suspensefully is a adverb. So the word is also used in the right way grammatically, and also the entire statement makes sense, because when you're looking at the judge suspensefully, you're looking at the judge with tension, right? You are being tense because you don't know what the judge is going to say, so you're being anxious and tense there, right? So in this statement also the word suspense is used correctly. So all the three statements, the word suspense is used in the right way, both grammatically as well as meaningfully. Hence option 5 is the right answer. So the correct answer for question number 6 is option 5. Let's move on to the next set, which is the last for today's video. The word bless, B-L-E-S-S, bless. The first statement, the player spoke in a blessed tone with moderate enthusiasm after winning the match. So player spoke in a blessed tone. People offered prayers and sought blessed for the army. They sought blessed for the army. So it is using a variation of the term bless. The newly elected Pope has made his first public appearance to bless the crowd. So to bless the crowd. Now Pope is actually, the P should be capital. So my apologies for the error there. The newly elected Pope has made his first public appearance to bless the crowd. So let's look at each of the statement one by one. The player spoke in a blessed tone with moderate enthusiasm after winning the match. So here you need the adjective form of the word bless, because you are talking about what kind of tone it was. So tone being a noun here, you need an adjective form of it, but the word bless here is in a verb form. So you need the adjective form, and the adjective form of blessed, which will be suitable for this particular sentence, is blessed tone, right? So blessed tone is the one which is more suitable here, right? So you need to have the player spoke in a blessed tone, in a very solemn tone. So that actually matches with the thing. If you have blessed, it matches because it's moderate enthusiasm, blessed, solemn tone, right? So there the word should be blessed, not blessed. So bless is used in a wrong way in the first sentence. Second, people offered prayers and sought blessed for the army. So here the word blessed is used. So here the word is used, the adjective is used. So this is blessed is the adjective format, right? This we have determined that this is the adjective format of blessed. So sought blessed for the army. But here we are not talking about, when we are seeking something, we are not seeking something which is in its adjective form. We are seeking something in its noun form. So the most suitable word here is, you sought, the player sought, the people sought blessings for the army, right? So the people offered prayers and sought blessings for the army. They wanted, the God to do favor for their army, to bless their army. So they sought blessings for the army. It's not blessings and not sought blessed. So this is also a statement in which the word has been used in a wrong way, right? So third, the newly elected Pope has made his first public appearance to bless the crowd. So here we are talking about the action of blessing. He is blessing the crowd. So there is an action of blessing happening. So bless is used in the right way and makes meaningful sense. So for question 7, statement 1, 2 and 3, only 3 is the word is used in the right way. So the option would be 3. So for question 7, the answer is option 3. So we now come to the end of the video. So please join or subscribe to our channel, which is Time for Bank Exams, which will help you for your preparation for your bank, SSC, CGL, insurance, railway, and all other related exams which are there. You can also join our Telegram channel, which is Time for Bank _exams, 4 being the numerical 4. YouTube channel, again Time for Bank Exams. Instagram, also Time for Bank _exams, and Facebook, Time for Bank Exams. So all these links, the description of the links are given in the description box. So all the links, the details for all these links are given in the description below this video. For all classroom coaching, please contact your nearest time center. You can visit our website www.timeforeducation.com, and you will be able to find the list of all our centers across India. For any online courses, you can just go to t4e.info/bank SSC online. So thank you for watching this video. Do subscribe to the channel as I mentioned earlier, and for any queries, do visit our website www.timeforeducation.com, or you can send us an email at info@timeforeducation.com. Thank you so much. Have a good day.